About artificial languages. In the world, there are hundreds of artificial languages that have been created to make communication between people simpler and more understandable. Most of these languages can indeed facilitate understanding and the exchange of information. Some are specialized. For example, there are languages for philosophers, scientists, or musicians. An important point is that no matter how simple a language may be, in order to use it, it must be learned. Perhaps that is precisely why only a few artificial languages enjoy widespread popularity, while the rest are known only to a few dozen enthusiasts. The most famous artificial language is Esperanto. It is one of the oldest artificial languages. The language was created with the hope that it would be actively used for international communication, and indeed, books were printed in Esperanto, newspapers were published, and currently Wikipedia has about 240,000 articles published in this language. The simplest artificial language to learn is Toki Pona, which translates as good language. Its creation was announced in 2001. The language is relatively popular and has become part of internet subculture in some countries. The grammar of the language is simple and requires almost no effort to memorize.
The most complex artificial languages are considered to be the philosophical languages Ithquil and its optimized version, Ilash. Ithquil uses a complex set of grammatical rules, 81 cases, and more than 90 sounds. Ilash is considered no less complex even in comparison with Ithquil. It uses a special non-linear writing system where even the color of symbols carries meaning. It is said that these languages are convenient for expressing complex philosophical concepts, but we have not tried them. Some artificial languages are created on the basis of existing natural languages. For example, there are artificial languages created on the basis of English, French, German, Latin, and some Slavic and African languages. Based on natural languages, artificial languages with simplified grammar and syntax have been devised, which is done for popularization and ease of learning. Historians and linguists engage in the reconstruction of languages that are no longer used in communication and writing. Sometimes films, books, and even computer games created in the science fiction or fantasy genres create their own languages. Names that come to mind include Klingon, Dothraki, Quenya, or Na'vi. There are artificial languages for scientists. For example, Lojban, or logical language, was created to test the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis of linguistic relativity. Words in the artificial language for musicians, Solresol, consist of the names of musical notes. It is interesting how a speech in Solresol would sound if these notes were not named but played on some musical instrument.
Laden is an artificial feminist language that helps avoid ambiguities in the formulation of thoughts and achieve unequivocality in mutual understanding. Perhaps the efforts to create artificial languages, as well as to study and standardize natural languages, would be unnecessary if we learned to use the language of thought. There is a hypothesis that human thinking is carried out in a special language, the language of thought. The language of human thought is called mentalese and has its own propositional relations and attitudes, complex and simple elements, basic concepts and syntax. Mentalese operates with mental representations, much like familiar artificial and natural languages operate with words, concepts, and meanings. It is noteworthy that mental representations in living thinking beings are presented in the form of neurophysiological structures of the brain. Such a language must be innate and universal for those who think in a human way, that is, for people. So, having mastered such a language of thought, you'll be able to communicate with anyone without interpreters.
FutureMind. Imagine the future.